Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Director Sir. Director Sir, now you are a co-host. I think you will be able to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Sufyan.
Shall we start with the session? Because it is also live on the YouTube, so maybe some participant they join over there.
Yeah, it's okay. Our chairman, Mr. Burhan Harris, will join at around 3 o'clock.
Okay, no problem. Then I think we'll start, sir.
Yeah, you can start.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Assalamu alaikum and a very warm good afternoon to everyone. I hope you all are doing good. With paradigm shift in teaching learning process from offline to online and sometimes hybrid mode, engaging students and ensuring their active participation is quite challenging. Today's panel discussion on learning strategies for Generation Z, opportunities and challenges is planned with objective to understand different aspects of this generation and also to align ourselves as a teacher to cater their need. On this note, I am Abu Sufyan, controller of our Center of Innovative Teaching and Exuberant Learning. On behalf of Anjuman-e-Islam Kalsekar Technical Campus, New Panvel, extend my warm welcome to all resource persons, all head of different schools and department, and participants from different institutes and state and countries. This panel discussion is organized by Center for Innovative Teaching and Exuberant Learning of Anjuman-e-Islam Kalsekar Technical Campus. To start with, as a tradition of Anjuman-e-Islam, I will recite a verses from Holy Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. The translation of this verse from Holy Quran is, indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. Sadaqallahul Azim. What a beautiful verse from Holy Quran. This verse is focused on change. Now, as a teacher, this is high time where we need to bring in drastic change, not only the way we teach, but also our approach as a teachers towards the students. Going forward, we have with us the director of our institute, Dr. Abdul Razak Honnutagi. I request Mr. Director to give opening remark about today's program. Thank you, sir. It is over to you. Director, sir.
Abu Sufyan, first let me know, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are absolutely audible.
Okay. I think there is no need for headphone, you know?
Not needed, sir. Not needed.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Sheikh Abu Sufyan.
Sir, your voice is interrupting, sir. Sir, your voice is interrupting.
All other participants, my co-panelists, and today's moderator.
Director, sir, your voice is interrupting.
Abu Sufyan, am I audible now?
Now audible, sir. Now audible. Okay. Director, sir, your voice is interrupting.
Okay.
Sir, your voice is interrupting.
Okay. Yes, Professor Abu Sufyan, thank you very much for initiating this panel discussion and a program which is being hosted under the Center for Innovative Teaching and Exuberant Learning, with a lot of vision and also most relevant objectives of our campus, Anjuman Islam's Kalsekar Technical Campus. This center has been set up. I welcome all my co-panelists, Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman, professor from King Saud University, Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and also Dr. Farooq Shaikh, associate professor, Monash University, from to have our Dean School of Pharmacy for our learners, for our students, but also for all of us because of being teachers. So for that, let me thank CiTeL. This program is also a part of our IQAC, Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Kalsekar Technical Campus, headed by Dr. Rajendra Magar, and the team obviously comprising of all our deans, heads of the department, faculty members, student members, and even external experts. So with so many objectives in mind, in line with quality enhancement of our educational avenues, and also to bring most appropriate teaching pedagogies, teaching approaches, strategies, ultimately to see that learning is happening. So for that, there are series of programs which have been planned, and in the past, CiTeL hosted very important programs like even national conference and most relevant training programs, workshops. So likewise, in future also we have got many good programs in pipeline. So that way, CiTeL is doing a wonderful work by thinking of developing these kind of events and activities under the ambit of Anjuman Islam's Kalsekar Technical Campus. So on my personal behalf, and also on behalf of Anjuman Islam, an organization which is not just started any time in the recent past, but a very historic organization started in the year 1874, and 148-year historic organization carrying its own heritage, presently headed by one of the most eminent scholar, a practicing radiologist, Dr. Zahir Qazi, and also the entire team of office bearers, the General Council members, 45 members drawn from various fields of expertise. And as such, Anjuman is a body which is having around 500 general body members. So it is truly a secular
Sir, your voice is lagging, sir.
kind of organization which is reputed of being role model Anjuman Islam. We also have a polytechnic on our Yeah, I'm sorry. I think because of internet's stability here, so getting disconnected. As I was telling, this campus has become a role model campus for Anjuman Islam, which was officially declared. So this all has come as reality, not because of one or two or a small group of person, but it is, and all those contributed in developing this campus made it a reality. So we have got again many important milestones to done. Though we got accredited already by NAC, now we are preparing for second cycle of NAC accreditation, and parallelly we are also preparing for NBA accreditation. And in due course of time, once it becomes reality, our focus is to become an autonomous institution, ultimately reaching a milestone like to become a technological university. So these kind of milestones we have got, and therefore, in order to build such an organization, we must understand the pulse of each and everyone, not only the faculty, staff, and our management, but also most important stakeholders, our students, our learners, so who are joining our campus, our institutions with a lot of expectation based on today's needs, today's requirements, and with all that backup information that is available at their fingertips. So therefore, we must prove that as an organization, we must be relevant. As an individual, as a teacher, we must be relevant. Our management practices must be most relevant, striking to the needs of all our stakeholders. So therefore, such programs are highly welcome. And IQAC and CiTeL together thought of having this panel discussion on learning strategies for Generation Z. What are the opportunities and challenges that we all are facing, and what are the remedies? So a small discussion, and thank you, Professor Abu Sufyan and moderator Dr. Shariq Syed for including me as also one of the panelists, along with my other co-panelists, my friends, Dr. Ateekh and Dr. Farooq. So I once again welcome all the participants, and let us have a fruitful session in the next 80-85 minutes. So I welcome all of you. Thank you very much. Over to Abu Sufyan.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words and also opening remark. Now, before starting the actual session, I formally introduce our panelists. Our first panelist is our very own director of the campus, Dr. Abdul Razak Honnutagi. It's my immense pleasure to introduce Mr. Director. Sir did his PhD from IIT Bombay. He was former principal of MS Sabu Siddique Polytechnic, Mumbai. During his tenure, Sabu Siddique Polytechnic was adjudged as the best polytechnic of Maharashtra state in the year 2000 and role model polytechnic during 6th IST annual convention. There are many awards to its credit, few of these including his recipient of Outstanding Research Paper Award in the International Engineering and Technology Education Conference held at Taylor University, Malaysia. Silver Jubilee Memento for his dedicated service at Basweshwar Engineering College, Best Teacher Award of Anjuman Islam, citation from Lion Club International for his distinguished service to the society, and Lokmat Panvel Gaurav Puraskar. As a part of this technical campus, I proudly say that Dr. Abdul Razak is a humble leader who developed a vibrant team, and Kalsekar Technical Campus was conceived by him and got developed from scratch. With this brief introduction, I welcome you, sir, as one of the panelists. The second panelist of the day is Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman. Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman is a professor at Department of Industrial Engineering, College of Engineering, King Saud University, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. He is teaching undergraduate and graduate courses in industrial engineering and operational management. In 2019, he has received Excellent Research Award for Excellence in Scientific Research at the College of Engineering, King Saud University. He is presently main supervisor to graduate and doctoral students as well. He has 55 publications to his credit. He has received an Outstanding Paper Award at IEOM Orlando, Florida, USA, and IE and EM 2010 in China. Dr. Ateekh is involved with several national and international collaborative projects. He was a keynote invited speaker at several workshops. Dr. Ateekh is currently interested in researching the lean agile manufacturing, reconfigurable manufacturing, and lean green supply chain, production planning, and operational management, etc. He actively serves on several university committees. Dr. Ateekh is active lead member to ABET and NCAA accreditation program at College of Engineering, King Saud University. He is an active reviewer to number of international and national journals. He edited 2 Scopus journal as a guest editor as well. So on behalf of Anjuman Islam Kalseka Technical Campus, I welcome Dr. Ateekh and thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. The third panelist of the day is Dr. Mohammad Farooq Shaikh. Dr. Mohammad Farooq Shaikh is Associate Professor in Monash University, Malaysia, and leader of Neuropharmacology Research Strength in Jeffrey Chase School of Medicine and Health Science. He has completed his PhD in Pharmacology from the Institute of Chemical Technology, University of Mumbai in 2012. He was also awarded the IBRO FPRC Fellowship to continue his postdoctoral study at School of Biomedical Science, University of Queensland. He is an expert neuropharmacologist and have interest in both drug discovery and understanding the disease mechanism. He is recipient of Monash PVC Award for Excellence in Research and Malaysian Society Neuroscience Best Publication Award in 2017. On behalf of Anjuman Islam Kalseka Technical Campus, I also welcome Dr. Farooq. Now, I hand over this forum to the moderator for this panel discussion, Dean School of Pharmacy, Dr. Shariq Syed. He is also a very active member to our CiTeL Advisory Committee. Sir, please carry forward this session. It is over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Professor Abu Sufyan. I hope.
Excuse me. Why don't you introduce our moderator, Dr. Shariq also?
Okay. So Dr. Shariq is currently working as a Dean of School of Pharmacy. He did his master degree from the Hamdard University and PhD from US. So he has a good experience of working as the clinical researcher in USA. And then after he has joined AIKTC at our campus as a position of the Dean. So I welcome you, Shariq sir also. Actually, sir mentioned that since I'm moderator and I'm known to all these people, so don't introduce. So it's all to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Abu Sufyan. I hope I'm properly audible.
Yes, sir. You are absolutely audible.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you once again to CiTeL, IQAC, and our director, sir, for giving me this important opportunity to moderate this very exciting session that I really look forward to hearing from all the panelists here. Just basically on learning strategies for Generation Z, the various opportunities and challenges. I think for the last 2 years or so, we have seen transformative challenges and changes within the sphere of education in general also. I still remember when the pandemic started, we literally, as they say, we literally were thrown into the water and were expected to kind of swim. So it was an overnight journey for all of us to be moving into an online mode, learning new methodologies. So I think from that point onwards, it was very evident that if we were to survive in the post-pandemic stage, if we were to bring innovations in our teaching and learning, we really will have to innovate into that. And past year and a half has really shown us that there are disruptions that are going to happen in the way we teach to our students and the way our students are going to learn. Even post-pandemic, some of these changes will be there. And if you listen to the experts, they'll definitely say that it is not going to be the same as pre-pandemic. Online learning will be given a lot of emphasis. The way students synchronously, asynchronously learn is going to change. And that will require a lot of changes, adaptations from our end in terms of understanding our students and to see what's working for them and what does not work for them. And one of the important things for that adaptation is to really understand this generation that we are talking to, which are our stakeholders, which is the Generation Z. And if we really don't understand them, it becomes very difficult for us to connect with them and to see what are their challenges in terms of their learning. And when we talk about that, these are the Instagram generation, these are the TikTok generations. They have challenges of their attention span, as we talk about, but they have advantages that they are digital natives. So there are a lot of plus and minuses. So I think for the next half an hour or 35 minutes or so, we'll have a very interesting session. I really look forward to it. And so I'm really fortunate to have a very experienced panelist out here, panel members. We have our own very director, sir, who has decades of experience as an educationist. We have Professor Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman Sahab. We have Dr. Farooq Shaikh. They have been seeing a lot of paradigm shifts in their leadership roles. They have seen generations across, and I think they'll be very well suited to provide their insights into what should we be doing towards addressing the learning challenges for these generations. So just for some housekeeping thoughts, what we will do is we'll try to maximize the time that we have. So initially what we'll do is we'll have an initial round of opening talks from all of our panelist members. I would request them to be brief and compact, so somewhere around 3 minutes or so. And once all of us have spoken, then what we'll do is we'll pull up questions, we'll pull up some pointers that we have got from each of them. We have some questions that have already come in from panelists. So I'll on or off, move around these questions to either one of you, and then we can take this discussion forward. So I would like to request our panelist members for our introductory thoughts on their view about Generation Z, the challenges and the opportunities in learning. Let's keep it to 3 minutes time or so, and then we can accordingly circulate. So with that, I would like to invite our director, sir, for his opening remarks on the topic. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shariq. Well set context, about the topic chosen for today's discussion. Very interesting combination to say here. Fortunately, we are in the field of academics, and that is our luck that though whichever generation we belong, but we keep on connecting with the latest generation. Right. So that is one advantage which we would have missed being in working field elsewhere in industry or otherwise. But being in academics, that is one great advantage. Yes, we are supposed to have that connectivity with ongoing generations. And today we have come to the level of Generation Z, and naturally carrying all that background experience, as you said. And it is only the time to express whatever a little we know about ourselves and also the Generation Z. Now, very recently, I just circulated a small clip, a video clip from a movie which came in Tamil, Telugu, as well as in Kannada. Very interesting, to understand what kind of students we deal with, as teachers. So I'll just try to, so I thought, let me share this one small clip. Abu Sufyan, can I share the screen?
Yes, sir. You can share. You can share.
Okay. Is that audio coming?
You need to share the sound as well.
Audio is there, Abu Sufyan?
No, it is not coming at your end.
Okay.
I play at my end.
Okay, you can play. Yes.
Okay. Just a minute, sir. Sir, you stop sharing the screen. I'm playing
Yeah.
at my.
Yes, I have stopped.
Okay.
Mostly, I think most of you have seen that. It's only to remind. No, Abu Sufyan, it is, yes.
Hello. அவன் எழுப்புற ஹலோ என்ன பண்றீங்க உங்களுக்கா சார் என்ன பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கீங்க இதெல்லாம் என்னன்னு தெரியுமா
You lost the audio of Professor Sufyan.
I took 2 days to prepare for this problem. 6 books refer பண்ணிருக்கேன். How painful it is for me. என்ன?
So just, I mean, I thought of sharing this a small clip drawn from a movie in Kannada. That movie name is Ravan, you know, very insightful movie where what kind of, you know, students spectrum we are dealing with. So I think the smile carried by Dr. Ateekh will definitely speak volumes because he is dealing with different sect of students in Saudi Arabia. Dr. Farooq has got his own experiences dealing with all international students. But we here dealing with a different spectrum of students. Not only we call them as from Generation Z, and even if you look at the background from where they are coming. So sometime, you know, their parents, you know, they are the first generation learners. So those kind of students we are coming with, and we have to deal with them, and we have to scale up with their, you know, requirements and whatnot, so many things. Now, interestingly, in my case, as a part of my own experience, so what has happened is, see, if I go through down the line my career, okay, looking at the timeline, it all, you know, these generations are defined based on the year when we were born. So looking at my birth year, so no doubt I belong to Generation X. So being you know, a person who is currently holding some responsibility, but I belong to Generation X by virtue of my birth year. Now, when I go back to my earlier, you know, time when I joined as a faculty member in my my alma mater in Karnataka, it was between 1987 to 1997. I was there for about 10 years. And that time, you know, my age was, you know, I spent my age between 22 to 32 years in that college. And that time, the students I was dealing with, they are also just 1 year junior. I started with students 1 year junior to me, whose date of birth was ranging from 1969 to 1979. In those 10 years, so it was like interaction between Generation X to Generation X only. So not much difficulty dealing with them because I belong to the same generation and I was teaching the same generation. That was my starting experience. Then subsequently, when I got shifted myself in Mumbai and I became principal of M.H. Sabu Siddiq Polytechnic, and in that period from 1999 to say 2006, so when I was between 34 to 41 years, so that time the students, since it was Polytechnic, the students coming to diploma programs were after SSC, after their matriculation. So somewhere they were born between 1982 to 1989. So in my period of service in Polytechnic, I was dealing with the students who were born from 1982 to 1989. So looking at this birth year, this range, now we put them into the category generation as millennial generation, or we also call them as generation Y. So one stage, I moved to dealing with the next generation, a millennial generation, and there was again some interesting experience we gathered. Then fortunately, I got an opportunity to join for my research program in IIT Bombay as a PhD student. So I myself from Generation X joined as a student in IIT Bombay. That was between 2007 to 2012. And interestingly, my colleagues, my friends who were with me, because I was also a student, and interestingly there, I was having a connect with my own generation, and again, once again, millennial generation. So the students were from 1965 to 1982. So all those were connected to me in IIT Bombay, but in a different perspective. We were all colleagues there doing research. Then after that, the destiny brought me to this campus since 2011 till date. And now the question is, the generation, the students whom we are dealing with, they were probably born between 1992 to 2002 as on date. So this generation definitely belongs to Generation Z. So in that way, we are interacting both with millennial and Generation Z. So it is a fusion of three, Generation X, millennial, and Generation Z. So across this, if I see myself and if I see what kind of experience is gathered out of all these range of interaction, is really very interesting. And definitely we always claim that, there is a generation gap, and we always try to appreciate that, yes, in our time, in our good old days, so it was all best. And we always try to criticize. We always say that these are the shortcomings of current generation. Millennial are like this, and in our time, we were so much in terms of sincerity, honesty, dedication, our attitude towards our teachers. So likewise, we always keep claiming as tall as possible and undermining at the same time the next generation, but it is not the case. So when we really understand the generation gaps, and before us, again, there were people, in fact, we also interacted with our parents, they were from silent generation. So then, they were, baby boomers, that was also a generation previous to us, and we interacted with them, and they were also claiming the same thing, right? Every time we also learn from our past generations, our current generation, and again forthcoming. So the challenges as a teacher, challenges as a person who has to deal with educational or giving educational leadership, so there are multifold. So what is important is, this is the time when we are dealing with students belonging to a very typical mindset with all the resources available at their fingertips. And there are inherent attributes, and we always know that they are smart enough compared to us. And when we know that they are very smart in terms of doing their work, as we saw in that video clip, though that student was sleeping in the class, and on the other side, teacher was trying to solve one problem, referring to 6 to 8 books and spending 2 days time. So that was his effort. On the contrary, the student, he was sleeping because he has to sleep, because the moment when a teacher starts doing something in the classroom which is not relevant to that boy, definitely, he has to sleep. And when he got up, and he immediately solved that problem, because this is what already available within him. So he has already gathered that information of solving very complex problems. So when this is the reality, the option is not to mend those next generation students. The option is not for teachers like us to guide them, to direct them, to discipline them. That is not the option. The option is how we scale ourselves and reach to their level, so that we not only become facilitators, but also we provide something which they are missing, something which they are unable to tap. So that is our role as a teacher. So in my experience, what I could get is, today Generation Z or millennial generation, they are well versed with all kinds of gadgets. They are connected with all the machines, and when they can comfortably interact with machines like computers, smartphones, and even internet, and all kinds of resources are their reach, then they know all that obviously. So then what are they missing? So the missing link is what? They know that they get information, they get some pieces of knowledge from those machines, and they also know how to interact with those machines. But the question is, what is that they are missing at higher order? The higher order is once again requiring the humanistic touch, the human endeavor, because all that we have gathered at this point of time is put into the machine, and machines have become smart. It is all something related to artificial intelligence, machine learning, and whatnot. Even the technology like blockchain, so many things are possible today. So therefore, what we need to do as teacher is to find out what they are missing. And that missing link, if we become, then things will become relevant, and they will start definitely getting connected with us also, rather than giving all that rotted things, which is not, which we cannot claim that they don't know. They know it, but what they do not know, that if we can strike, we will be successful as a teacher. So initially, this is my point of view through my experience, and let us see what other panelists are supposed to say, and I can learn from them also. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for your opening
Dr.
remarks.
Shariq, over
I
to
think
you.
it was very thoughtful hearing from your experience. Obviously, you have seen multiple generations. You have interacted on both sides of the coin, as they say. So quickly moving on to Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman. Sir, your opening remarks, and we can keep it to around 3 minutes or so. That will be very helpful.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Special salam to Dr. Abdul Razak. I'm very thankful, and I express myself many thanks to Anjuman Islam as well as Abdul Razak Kalsika Technical College for initiating this thoughtful discussion and inviting me as a panelist. I'm thankful to all those who are directly and indirectly involved in this event. Okay, today's topic is learning strategies for Generation Z. What are the challenges and what are the opportunities? So my thought for 3 minutes, I can say that what can be the learning strategy? Being and having experience from 1993 till date, purely in academic and dealing with all types of students, undergrads, postgrads, as well as doctoral, even management school, engineering school, and a combination of both of them. I observed that every stage, every place, the demand is different. So first of all, we have to understand and we have to think what are the learning strategies? What should be the learning strategy? What is the objective of our learning strategy for any type of student? It can belong to maybe engineering, management, pharmacy, or maybe non-technical or technical. So the thing is that one should understand, or what I understood from my experience, that we have to improve and we have to help the student to understand, or we have to deliver with very professional way, and keeping in mind the academic success for the student also. So for that part, we have to adopt various strategies. Generally, we can say that when I see my earlier days, how the way I was struggling for teaching in my earliest time of the engineering drawing subject, engineering mechanics subject, and laterally when I got a chance to teach higher classes, third-year students, fourth-year student, design of press tool, the way I was struggling to make the concept clear for them, by drawing every figure and each and every diagram on the projector and the board, by using chalk and dust chalk, everything like that, and trying to make them very clear concepts. I'm doing my best that time, and students were also happy that way. But presently, we cannot do that. Presently, we cannot use all those tools, old tools now, considering the generation in front of us. So we have to use and we have to adopt learning strategy as one of the digital means learning strategies, considering as all of you explained, what is generation Z students are in front of us, and we have to use case studies, or we might have to use the YouTube links and other parts. So what exactly the strategy, if I want to meet that? So actually our objective as a tutor is a delivery of knowledge. So we have to take action, or we have to apply our knowledge to achieve the educational goals. And that can be done by taking an active role in both ways. We have to learn as well as we have to deliver, because we are not belonging to the digital era. So new digital gadgets are coming to us. So we have to learn it and we have to deliver it. And for that, we might need to adopt various different approaches based upon our courses and disciplines. Not only the delivery and learning, we also have to change our method of assessment, our monitoring method, our control approaches, because these are what exactly Generation Z needs. Suppose if I just see the topic, I divided our topic into two parts, learning strategies and Gen Z. So when I focus on Gen Z, so as all you say that they're very sensitive. First of all, they're very sensitive, very large population, and they want to share their experience with their peers. They share the experience very oftenly and very openly to their peers, to their friends, by so means on the social media, in their own language, coding languages, we can say that. And they are very careful also. I can say that these people, Generation Z people, they're very careful, and they will try to work voluntarily, and they try to work in groups. So then maybe some percentage, I can say that maximum of them or majority of them think that they are more loyal and open-minded and responsible. And their demand is that we want to learn what is needed, not what is in the book. So what is currently needed, that is their demand. So the challenge and opportunities are a lot of there. So one has to see, let's see, the discussion will come out, what are the challenges are there, and how we can tackle these challenges in the future discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman, for that opening thoughts. I fully agree with you. An adaptation and change to the needs of the students will be key for all of us educators to become relevant, or to remain relevant rather. So I think very well said that the adaptation is key. The understanding of this generation, especially with their emotional frame of mind, their social frame of mind, and how do we adapt our learning processes and the whole ecosystem, because we are the ones who are responsible for devising an ecosystem for their learning. So if we don't understand that, they will feel us irrelevant. Thank you so much, sir. Over to Dr. Farooq for his thought. I mean, he interacts with a lot of international students also at his campus across the board. So your insights, Dr. Farooq.
Thanks, Dr. Shariq, and thanks, AIKTC. I think this is again, I echo what Dr. Ateekh mentioned. It's a really great initiative, and especially taking care of faculties, which is very rare in many institutions, and thinking on behalf of them, and making sure they get enough training, which helps them to actually cope up with the challenges what we will be facing with the training the Generation Z. I think what Dr. Abdul Razak and Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman mentioned is definitely, I echo the same thing. But I think we also need to clearly acknowledge the differences what we have with the Generation Z. Okay, I'm talking about differences among, definitely they are smart, okay, and they have smart devices that Dr. Abdul Razak mentioned about, and they are very much self-driven, you know. They are not very much dependent on their lecturers and teachers on the things they want to learn. They are very independent, I will say, and self-driven. And at the same time, they do have these open and very rich resources to learn from, different aspects or different things they want to learn. And they are not, I mean, we need to really appreciate, at the same time acknowledge if you ask the current student, the Generation Z, if they do not have a specific teacher to teach them on a specific topic or concept, do they really need us, answer? I mean, in a way will be, my answer will be no, because what they need from is the confirmation of things they learn from the open sources. So I think that's very, very important. And I will not say we should not, encourage them from that, but we should acknowledge, yes, that is the case. But how we, not being a teacher, I mean, teacher and student, if you look at a typical old classroom, is like a king sitting and conveying all the his commandments, and the people have to just listen it, and there is no two-way interaction, which is not the case these days. I mean, we are even going away from PowerPoints, and I mean, students feel PowerPoint is very boring. Maybe the Generation X and Generation Y still feel like, oh, PowerPoint is good, we add animation and these, and it will become very interesting. And I think, Dr. Shariq, we have discussed many times about this, like the attention time from these millennials, if you Google it, is hardly 8 seconds. If you interact them, if you attract them, whatever you are trying to teach, within 8 seconds, they will stay there. Otherwise, it just scroll to the next video or next thing they want to see. It's very much there. So I think that attention span, we actually need to understand and see how we make it, whatever we are trying to see, interesting. I was talking about, it is not at all about teaching. Now it is more about learning. And we as a teacher or facilitator or collaborator, I will say it more on enhancing their teaching and not, enhancing their learning and not really teaching them something. So how we make these learning experiences enhanced for them, I think that is something very, very, very interesting. There are other few points which I was mentioning, and I take this as a reflective when I do my classroom teaching. If students are sleeping, for example, that video Dr. Abdul Razak mentioned about, I think I will take that blame on myself, like, yes, my lecture was definitely boring. I don't need to ask a student, but I got my answer, like there is some loopholes which I need to really work upon to make this topic very, very interesting. Otherwise, it definitely puts students. And I think the current Generation Z is very reflective. I mean, we probably are scared, just not because we do not understand because of the teacher. Like if we sleep, then, we may go out of the class. But now it is so open environment. We can't expect a student don't sleep in the class. Maybe they had an overnight study. We need to be very considerate. We need to be collaborative. We are not, I mean, I will not say we are the teacher and they are the learner. I will say we are collaborator and we work together. We need to understand, as Dr. Ateekh mentioned about the emotions, what they are going through, and what are their needs. I think we need to work together. The last thing, I think, again, will come more into our discussion further, is the autonomy of the learning, how they want to learn the things and not the way we want to teach the thing. So I think this is, again, very, very important. We have other points, I think, but I think to start with, these are my initial opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Farooq. I think it was very well comprehensively said. I was reading a blog by a very eminent educationist. He said, the Generation Z thinks that they are smart. But if you really look into it, it is their quick retrieval of information that they think that they are smart. So it's kind of an illusion of being smartness. So that was a fairly interesting thing that they came across. So there are a couple of things that are happening out here. One is obviously their attention span that is fairly short because of the environment that they are into, because of the societal structure that they are into right now. That is one thing. And the challenge that we have is obviously we are into professional program and the content is fairly deep and we expect them to go really deep into it. So that is the challenge that is coming in. And with this whole flooding of online material that is coming through, so the information is pervasive, it is free, it is available from the best of the best. So how do we bring relevance into a classroom? That is one thing. And the second thing is, how do we continue to be I'll repeat it, to be relevant in our classroom and students seeing ourselves relevant. So Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman, how's your experience in this for the last 1.5 years, and how have you evolved as a teacher in this time? Because the shift that has happened was forced on us. We were told to swim overnight, thrown into water. We had to learn a lot of things. I still remember my first Zoom class, talking in front of a screen. So fairly awkward situation. We are trying to adapt. So how have you evolved yourself, and what's your learnings within this? Please unmute yourself, sir. You're mute.
Frankly speaking, yes, we evolved a lot. We all of us evolved a lot. The Zoom meetings and Zoom lecturing is really something which came into picture because of this COVID. But before that also, we have to change ourselves concerning the demand of the students, because the way the digitization is going up in upscale and in a continuous improvements are happening in that, in terms of gadgets and in terms of the apps. So the first question student asks me always, that whenever I will put the formula in front of him, or if I want to ask him to draw the graph, they say, why we have to draw the graph and the formulas, why we have to remember? Is it necessary to remember the formulas? Is it necessary to draw the graph on the paper? Yes, I agree. Yes, it is not necessary. So here the question comes that still we are on we have to change ourselves in terms of assessment point of view, because our assessment is always happening based upon pen and paper. So that has to be changed. Then only we can cater something different way. So there is what you can say barrier is coming. But anyway, as a teacher, as a tutor, I have to give the knowledge to the. We have to agree. Yes, you are right. When you go into the field, there is no need to remember the formulas. Everything is available on tip of the clicks and everything. And plotting of the graphs, now Excel sheets and so many apps are there which can plot the graphs. You have to learn that techniques. But I have to tell them that, okay, graph, you are drawing it, but what you are learning from the graph, that software will not tell you. So you have to learn that in the class. So we have to change in different way. You can plot the graph, you can show the graph on the screen in a very short time, but you have to explain them what this graph means, why, how, when, where this use will be there. We have to teach them that part. So we have to change in that direction, and questioning should also happen in the exam in that direction. I'm thinking, because nowadays when I shifted from Indian education system to I shifted to the SPJM management school, and from the management school to when I shifted to NITI, then I come back to the international. I can observe that the autonomy is there, as Dr. Farooq said, that autonomy in the teaching and autonomy in the assessment is much important. How we do the assessment based upon our pool of the student is more important. And that I enjoyed a lot. When I was in the Mumbai University, there was no autonomy for us in the terms of assessment and other part of you. When I went to SPJMR, there was good autonomy was to me like an IIT Bombay. Similarly in a NITI also there was autonomy. That as a teacher, we can ask whatever way we want and whatever way we can assess them. That autonomy, some limitations was there, no doubt. And when I come to here international, I can see that they also follow the ABET and NCAAA, and these people also put these questions: how you do the assessment and how you do the teach and everything. So my experience says that we have to change a lot, because students are asking. For example, as Dr. Farooq said that about the use of the gadget in the classroom. Nowadays it is increased a lot. We cannot avoid it. So personally, my opinion is that we cannot avoid the use of gadget in the classroom. Before Zoom meetings or before COVID, my observation that hardly 1 or 2 students was carrying the gadget in the classroom. But nowadays, as here, all the classes are fully open and everything is off campus, on campus things are happening. So I observed that most of the class, all the students are having the gadget in front of the desk, and they are using it. So now the dealing with the gadgets is increased, because now I don't know what they are seeing on the gadgets, because the screen is opposite to my face. I cannot see what is going on their screen, but still I have to make them attentive. So this semester experience I am telling, just maybe it started in August, 1st of September it started. So I can see that I don't know what is going on their screen. Then I have to make them, I have to take around, and I have to do some type of attentive things is required. Yes, that is the issue is there. We have to see. Now maybe we have to change the structure of the classroom. Maybe we have to think of having a mirror on the backside wall so that everyone will be reflected and the teacher can see what is happening on their screen. Really, they are seeing my notes, or really they are seeing whatever I'm instructing to them. Because sometimes I say that, okay, this is the topic and this is the, suppose I was explaining them some system. So for them, I can have a click on the YouTube. I say that, okay, you search for this particular thing and see how you can answer that. So I'm asking them for the searching and something like that on their in the live classroom itself. So the question always comes in my mind, is really all the students are doing or not doing? Everyone is having the gadget on the front of them, either mobile or maybe tabs, or laptop, whatever we can say. So maybe we have to change a lot of things. Only focusing on student, focusing on learning, we have to change the resources. We have to change our facilities. We have to change so many things. So this is what I mean to say here. Let's others panelists.
Agree, Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman. I mean, as you can probably, I've seen that image in cartoon that was one of the speaker was talking about. He said that everything has changed in the last 100 years, but our classroom has not changed in the last 100 years. It is still those benches. The ACs probably has come in, but the structure is there. I think we need to really dismantle that, making it into more of a, our discussion room and facilitate that. And the next question, I'd like to put it toward to our director, Sir Dr. Razak Honnutagi, who has a considerable amount of expertise into pedagogies. Sir, what is that one thing that you would suggest in terms of this whole disruption that has happened with this Generation G? One key pedagogical disruption that you would suggest that would be in line to ensure that learning is happening for this Generation Z? I mean, there were many, but what comes to the top of your mind?
Okay. Yeah. So again, to continue with Dr. Ateekh's, remarks, his experiences, as initially accepted by all the panelists, that the focus should be on learning. Okay. Now, whether you do it, putting mirrors, to see what students are doing and what not they are doing. So these are all surveillance mechanisms. And after putting that also, students are smart enough to prove that, yes, they do what they are supposed to do. Okay. And they also know that there is a mirror and teacher is monitoring us, fine. But the point is that genuine concern of a teacher being, as rightly said by Dr. Farooq, that being a collaborator. If we collaborate for their, learning, if we become a friend to them to make their learning happen, then definitely they will be attentive. The moment when they come to know that what is in it for me from this teacher, if that is clear to them, then definitely they pay attention, because they know that I am likely to get more in this teacher than what is widely available, because what is available on digital platform is an ocean, a big ocean, both right and wrong. Everything is a mixed, bag. From that, if somebody is drowning into that ocean, getting the right stuff is not just that simple. It is only the information what they gather. Now, the teacher's role is to take the students' level. If they are informed, then how to make them knowledgeable. If they are already knowledgeable, then how to develop that decision-making ability so that we make them a wise student. If they are already having certain level of wisdom to make right decisions, to solve complex problems, and all those graduate attributes which are defined by Abet, if already they are at that stage, then from that point onwards, what is required to be done by that student is basically looking into the attributes of Gen Z. What is required is we need to make them learn by doing. Because there are many universities conducted surveys, and that survey speaks that they are more responsive to doing than listening. If we can make them, for example, we recently had, even Dr. Farooq was there in that, like activity-based learning, project-based learning. These are the ways by which we engage those students' community in doing. The moment when they are engaged in doing, then definitely learning happens. And whether it is through outcome-based education model or ABET or whatever philosophy we employ, but ultimately learning by doing will be a good idea. And that is what even I found in one of my professors university who has really deeply experimented these pedagogies, and they were the pioneers in implementing outcome-based education. They were the first in the country to get trained in US to get those pedagogies to be implemented on their campus. Now, what they did on campus, they have created something like tinkering labs, learning factory, right? They have named it as learning factory. Can you imagine? We keep all our important machineries like CNC machines, 3D printers, all those high-end machines in closed rooms with all the protection, so that they should be given to the students only in somebody's supervision. And we assume that students are likely to make or bring some problems to those machines. But in that campus, what they are doing, they have kept it open in that learning factory, and 24/7 they are available only to students. And students will simply go there under nobody's supervision. So what they find, they are already given the problems of industry. So in that reason, they approached so many industries. They gathered a lot of problems from those industries, small to complex problems, and all that problem bank is there in that learning factory. And students are free to choose whatever problem they would like to pick up and use all that is resources available, and they keep doing that work whole night, ultimately to find the solution. So if we promote today's generation, Generation Z, to become problem solvers by providing all the resources at their disposal, and we simply become facilitator or collaborator as one of the learners with them, then things will definitely click and they enjoy that kind of interaction. So this is what my take for making learning little more meaningful.
Thank you, sir. I think it was very insightful. I think definitely, as you mentioned, we need to give some kind of purpose and objective to our students. They need to relate what is the outcome of their learning and efforts. And I think only then they get kind of inspired. I agree with you. So next question is for Dr. Farooq. Dr. Farooq, this whole explosion of MOOC courses, asynchronous kind of learning thing, in this currently existing brick and structure university models where you and I are teaching essentially, where do you see the future coming in, and what do you think would be an optimal learning platform, you would say, or optimal learning process where the faculties are still becoming relevant, at the same time they leverage the power of technology and the flexibility and the ownership of learning that we give to our students, which is what the Generation Z are expecting and they're wanting. They want more ownership of their learning. They want more flexibility in how they learn, where they learn, what they learn. So very briefly, I mean, I'm looking at my clock, it's already 40 minutes. So we don't have much time here. So very briefly, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think this is really a great point, which all of us as a teacher or facilitator or tutor, whatever we call ourselves, but more of collaborator, I will call it. I think our attitude that's supposed to be changed long back, but I think the pandemic has shaken us up to meet up the students. Am I audible? Because
yes,
I see my screen is frozen.
Yeah, it's kind of lagging. Okay. Meanwhile, Dr. Farooq joins in. Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman, your thoughts on the questions and that I posed very briefly.
First of all, I want to just say to the comments from the doctor. Abdul Razak. Really, my point of view that having the solution of the mirror on the back wall is nothing related to this. I want to just say that what are the challenges are there. These are the challenges we have to face. Surely, we collectively have to find out the solution for that. Because I want to divide the session into two parts. What are the first challenge? Challenges are here. As I rightly said, that the gadgets are coming to the classrooms. So we have to be careful. Now, I want to talk about what you asked about what is the solution for that. So as you rightly said that the solution is for that we have to change for the group discussion. So generally what happens whenever I solve the I am giving my experience and the way I am trying to do my best is that making the group discussion in the class on the case basis is much helpful to distract all of them and keeping aside their gadgets and targeting the problem and solving it. So it's like that open book discussion. It will be, everything will be there. So they can refer the things and try to solve that problem. Whatever problem I'm solving in the class, make the group and let them answer in a group as a leader and it will come out from the group the solution for that. So at a time we can have 3 problems will be solved, and one problem solved in one group can be given to the other group for the assessment so that we can change the reverse. Maybe the case study solutions also can be done that way. So one will be the doing the what we can say the solving the problem, other group will be the assessor of that particular problem, and they themselves will grade it. This method we adopt in the classrooms, so that will help us. That's what I want to say. Let's say Dr. Farooq is in.
Sure, thank you. Please, Dr.
So
Farooq,
sorry, I think this connection, I think some issues. So I think one of the point which comes with, I think a lot of us actually use Zoom classrooms. And if I talk from the Monash viewpoint and Monash take on doing online live classes using Zoom, I think Monash didn't allow us to do a single class using Zoom for about even 45 minutes or 30-minute class, because our take as a university was that doesn't make any sense. It will be much more better if we upload, this is I'm talking about in 2020 where COVID started. Okay, so we were asked, okay, let's put a 30 or 34 or 35 minutes lecture recording, and that should be uploaded. We have a Moodle system, and students, irrespective of whatever time and whenever, this is I'm talking about again autonomy, how they have access to the material and content, and not just a Zoom meeting, which may be disadvantage to some students. Some students do not want to get up early and join the Zoom meeting and all those things. And as a faculties, as a people who are working from home, we were having some flexibility around our work. Why don't we respect their flexibility when they are learning from home? So that's another point. So we were asked in 2020 to have those short recordings of 30-35 minutes of a lecture and upload, and students can access at any time they want. But in 2021, when we continued, they said this 30 minutes recording is still too long. What we need is excellent bites of the content of the topic, which are very short, like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and that will actually help them. So I think the process of changing from us is very dynamic. Every year, every semester, we try to enhance and move further. So now the thing is coming is like 10 minutes and 15 minutes and even bigger. We need to change into some other dynamic activity which helps. The other point which I disagree with some of the panel is the gadgets in the classroom. I do encourage gadgets in the classroom, but making use of it rather than they go on looking at their Facebook or other thing on the gadgets, we get their gadgets to use some of the activities we want to do. Okay, and then if you get them involved with those gadgets in the activity, they will not be going to run to other different screens which probably they are interested in, because my activity is not so interesting. So make that gadget very useful, and then develop some smart classroom where they actually simultaneously they can share whatever is there on their screen with the whole class, and people say, okay, about this topic, simple thing is like a definition I wanted to find out, and someone got from CDC's website, somebody got WHO websites, and somebody got a very generic Wikipedia website, a definition of a specific thing. And then we share, and as I mentioned, collaboratively we discuss like why there is a differences and what are the similarities and basically what they are talking about. So I think engaging with them is definitely very important. The other important point is integration. with different topics. I think one of the questions which I saw in the chat is like, students are asked like, what we want to learn and how much we want to learn and it is important for us or not. And where I think because we do not make connection when in our opening remark of any topic and lecture, if we tell them this is the basic thing where this is going to be utilized, and then they will understand, oh, this is the application. Now I'm going to learn how it works. But if we do not talk about application, in the beginning itself, the student definitely lost. They do not know. I mean, still people are kind of figuring out where this cos theta, tan theta, what we have learned in trigonometry is actually applied, because they were never taught the angle of banking of roads and other, where these things are very much applied in terms of engineering. So I think application definitely comes first and then on. The last thing I'll say, Dr. Shariq, is about integration, our different topics. For example, let's just say example of pharmacy itself. When we are talking about anatomy, we're talking about pharmacology, we are talking about medicinal chemistry and pharmaceutics, how we make, because when it comes to delivery as a pharmacist, as an industrial, pharmacist, how we deliver, which actually compromises of all this knowledge. I think that integration we haven't tried. It just taught as a sole subjects, and they were never taught in integration. I think that integration is very, very important to make sure all the faculties work together on different topics to make sure we show where the integration. Again, smaller groups, 10, 15 or 20 students with one facilitator with integrated learning. I think that's the way forward to my, experiences.
Agree. Thank you so much, Dr. Farooq. I think we really need to, number one, connect things together. We need to ensure the student thinks in terms of interdisciplinary and translational work so that they see a relevance. So I'm looking at my watch. It's already 50 minutes. Professor Abu Sufyan, how much buffer time do I have here? Can you let me know? I think it can be continued for 10 more minutes. Okay. Thank you so much. So shifting gears a little bit, I'll post a question which I think it's relevant here, although it's not directly linking to the topic as such. It's regards to the mental health of the students and their effect on the studies as such. As we see, the generation is very interconnected in terms of the digital social world. It's a generation that depends a lot upon the validation. Likes are a very important factor in terms of their every Instagram post. And because of that, they undergo a lot of churns with regards to their emotional well-being as such. And that is also a key to ensure that they're learning in the class. I mean, you cannot have a divided person at a home and in a classroom. So, Dr. Abdul Razak, what is your thoughts on that as to how do we ensure a safe and a healthy emotional well-being for our students as best as we can, so that we ensure that learning is happening there? Very briefly, your thoughts. I know you're a lot into psychology and mental well-being and positivity. Your piece of advice for educators.
That's right. That is once again, in your pharmaceutical field, whenever we take medicine, there are always side effects.
Right.
Okay. And though somebody claim that this medicine has no side effect, but still there are going to be some side effects.
Right.
Likewise, so this particular Gen Z, they are multitaskers actually.
Right.
In the process of multitasking, even being with them and knowing their pulse, even we have become like that. Now, for example, we are conducting this panel discussion. I am also attending to a phone call. I am sending some messages to someone who wants something, Likewise, even my son is there on the other side. He wants something. So that has to be responded. So this is happening with people like us, who are from a different generation, but generations that they are really very, very, smart enough, dealing with multiple tasking. And that is no doubt an advantage for them. But in the process, as you rightly said, it is definitely creating some kind of mental stress. And many people, especially these counselors, when we interact, they say that today's students are coming with a lot of issues related to their mental health.
Right.
And this is where again the role of teacher comes. When we know that if they are learning, let them learn the way they want. But because of that learning, if they are facing some problems, say in the form of mental stress, then how can we address by becoming a mentor, by proper advising. So when we do that work, then students will definitely pay attention to that, because they know that they are undergoing a problem whose solution they do not have. Then can we find that solution being a mentor to them? Can we advise them properly to get a proper solution for that mental health issue? So by connecting them to some kind of approaches, maybe in the form of meditation, maybe in the form of some kind of discipline in terms of diet, in terms of putting them into some kind of zikr and all that. And even there are some these occupational health experts, they are conducting some activities. So just putting them for 15 to 30 minutes activities with them, or calling them on campus, putting those students with them. So these kind of strategies as a teacher, if we can adopt, then once it helps for finding a solution to their problems of mental health, then ultimately they start learning, because ultimately, as I said, anything they resort to, there are side effects, and those side effects are to be addressed. So I think one of the pointers I got, again, I refer to my professor when I was discussing with him last time. He was telling very clearly to me that it is a theory of replacement. If we know that certain problems are happening because of certain activities, and in order to minimize those problems, put them into some other activity which is a little more physical in nature. That is the reason why they are putting them into that learning factory. So once, instead of saying don't do this, simply not to say that don't do, but just put them into a different activity, which is where the involvement of physical senses is there, and they are trying to do some activity which is more interesting, and in the process their mental stress goes down, and ultimately they become again normal. So this is what, again, a pointer I received from my professor. Yes, this is my take.
Thank you so much, Dr. Razak. I think that question really propped up in your mind. I was looking at Coursera's dashboard, and this is a news item, that one of the most enrolled courses in Coursera is by Yale University on science of well-being, and it is super subscribed, and probably
Yes.
thousands of students have taken this course. And that just goes on to reflect that these generations are also understanding that the need of it. They are getting anxious by the environment they're into, in terms of the pressure they're into, and they feel the need of an intervention as such. They need to be trained on how to bring mindfulness in their life, how to bring satisfaction in true sense in their life, how to become purposeful. Dr. Farooq, you deal with a lot of international students from various different cultural backgrounds. You have Indian students coming in, you have Korean, American students coming in. What has been your observation? You're also mentor to a lot of students.
Yeah, I think one of the things which we do, I did talk about the problem-based learning, and what we do, as I told you this also, like this is an idea in the beginning of our curriculum or course for that year. We assign different groups, okay, like 15 students per group, and they have a facilitator, which is basically their problem-based learning tutor, but this stay for the whole semester. Okay, same group, maintain all those 15 students together. Definitely that group has a leader, which is chosen based on different characters they do have in terms of mental stability, leadership qualities. Those students are given, so there are, a lot of screening to choose those leaders. But again, the facilitators are just randomly put on them based on that. What we do just 5 weeks after we start our program, actually, we meet each and every student. I'm not talking about only me, all our faculty which are assigned to different groups. We meet all those 15 students individually to understand how they are doing in the course. It's not only about the topic we are teaching, but across the line, like different subjects, what problem they have, which subject is tough, which subject is easy, what kind of help they seek, and then definitely coming on their mental well-being. So we check very early, because a lot of students, when they're early in the course, they really feel very depressed, left out. They sometimes do not understand what's going, because maybe they didn't expect the course may be so overwhelming or maybe so challenging for them. I think understanding that problem early on, that's the first checkpoint for us, I will say. But I will say this is more of our second checkpoint, because our first checkpoint is, even when we start the program, we do what you call med start, which is in our medical school. Initial 3 days before we start the course, we take them out, or if you want to do within a campus, the group is assigned, the facilitator is assigned, but we call our senior student as well to actually do a lot of what you call interaction, induction, basically, to understand. And there are a couple of counselors also goes with us and who observe each and every student in different activities to understand whether any student who need any special needs or any special requirement, or early on we try to understand those students, and then right from the beginning we make sure we put enough support they get through this 4 or 5 years of program which we are talking about. So I did talk about those two checkpoints where we make sure they are, the third checkpoint is definitely their leaders, the group leaders, because throughout the semester they will be doing different activities within the group, and the group leader is our contact point, where the academic advisor constantly keep talking to them whether is any problem. And at the same time, I think Dr. Ateekh mentioned about whenever they do a group activity, there is an assessment by their peers as well within the group. Right. And try to understand if they do have a difficulty in the learning, is it because there is something going on in the background? Right. And I think again, tackling that in the right time before it become worse, I think that's the approach. So I think the constant checking is very, very important before we end up the thing is very chronic and severe, which can't be reversed. So I think right from the beginning, even before it occurs, I think that point is very, very important.
I think they were really kind of nice pointers in terms of how you have structured there. And so I'm looking at my watch. I think it is really, signaling red to me. So what we would like to do quickly now, we have in the next 3 minutes or so, I would request each panel members to give their final thoughts, a 1 minute take-home message in terms of how would they like to see things forward with regards to the topic of General Z. In terms, it could be a take-home message or kind of a final summary or final concluding thoughts. Open to anyone. We can start with our Director Sir or Ateekh Ur Rehman Sir. Anyone, please.
Okay, I will go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you very much. The last thought in a quick 1 minute, I can say that we have to motivate the students in all respect. We have to respect their independence that is required. So sometimes we have to keep some confidential things about the students, also personal things in your mind. No need to make it open to all. Similarly, we have to be very frequent and regular, timely communication with the students related to everything. The way we can say that we have to adopt all types of modes to communicate on hand. Sometime all types of communication related to the course or whatever you are having assessment and monitoring. If you are doing it, try to communicate them. And I observed personally that student does not want to. I don't know about India, what is the situation now, but here one of the student does not want to know about his progress to the other student. He want to keep his progress with himself only. So try to, because earlier days what used to happen when we see in our time that all the list of the marks and everything will be displayed on the panel board, and we come to know who passed, who failed, and we can easily note the domain. But nowadays, nobody wants that. That is what what do you mean by that? Respect their independence. Right. And as well as we have to recognize their hard work. Everyone has its own way of doing the work. So recognize them, because there are a lot of marks are nowadays, the things have changed in terms of internal assessment. So internal assessment should not be based upon the face value. It should be based upon their hard work, and try to give them best weightage to that, so that way we can motivate them. That way we can try to excel them, and try to create the group communities. That is more important. The target, as you said, that the mental health, that is really, it is a very big issue considering the present use of all these gadgets, because students are not only involved in the classrooms, outside the classrooms also they are much more involved in all those gadgets, and that is affecting their health, maybe some or other way. We don't know. There are a lot of perspective will be there. So for that, it is better to have a community, group community, small community, so that everyone will take care in the small group of each one. In our King Saud University particularly, we have the student counseling unit is there, and that student counseling unit is comprising of the faculty as well as the students, and below that we are having the various groups. So each group will have their own control on each and everyone. They know each other very well, each other everything. So because and that way we can try to help them their medical issues, their absenteeisms, or their non-performance in the exams, all those things. So this way we can go ahead. So there are a lot of challenges are there, and there are a lot of opportunities are also possible, and nothing is impossible. Everything is possible.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Over to you, Director Sir, for a minute.
That is all discussed, but if we can focus on the attributes of this current generation whom we are talking, those attributes require some kind of attention from all of us. Right. Yeah, everybody knows that these are the characteristics of Generation Z. They are social, they are multitaskers, they are they believe in doing something independently. More 72% of them, teens, they want to start their own business someday. So this is again important thing, and they are by default, they would like to get educated. It's not like they would like to be dropouts, and even they have got philanthropic mindset. And definitely they are digital natives, they are interactive, they are tech savvy, we say they are less focused in terms of focused to listen to somebody, but they are focused in their own work, whatever they would like to do. Right. And then always they are a little cautious, as you rightly said, in terms of their mental stress and all that. They are cautious. If these things we as teachers understand their attributes and address their issues aligning with this, then it can be a better ambience for making them learn. That is my final words.
Thank you so much. Over to Dr. Farooq.
Yeah, I think my last words will be, because we are responsible for making strategies and making changes which is required for the Gen Z, and maybe Gen Z X, maybe that will be the next step which we still be teaching them. I think we as a tutor, our attitude is very, very important. If we consider ourselves as Monash tagline, I will say Ancora Empower, that I'm still learning, I think that will help us. And the second important thing I will say, how accessible you become for them, then you are their best friend and best collaborator to help them in learning. If we make ourselves very reserved and not accessible, I think the student is someone will not like you. I freely give my WhatsApp number and I think if sometimes they ask you a question, I think that inquiry culture I did mention about in our active learning session as well, but that inquiry culture is something we have to inculcate in this community, which is still students are sometimes very hesitant or very scared to ask questions. But I think developing that inquiry culture is very, very important. That helps them, in their learning. And we as a tutor to be on the toe all the time, like this question. It's absolutely fine if you do not know the answer on the spot. I say, okay, I'll check and come back to you. That's absolutely fine. But that inquiry culture has to be inculcated in this, community. And definitely, the integrative and collaborative learning is the way forward. We will be adapting the newer pedagogies which is coming, which will helping us in coming up or teaching our Gen Z generation. I think that's all from my side.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate all my panelists for the very, very insightful and thoughtful and a very provoking session, which I think really that has put up a lot of questions and take-home messages for all of us. For our attendees and people who are watching on YouTube Live. Definitely for me, I think the path forward is we need to evolve ourselves as educators. We need to innovate ourselves. sometimes, I feel within academia we are resistant to change. I think that really attitude has to go away. We need to be open to newer technologies, adapt to technologies, see what pedagogy works for these students, because the ultimate goal is if they are learning, we are teaching whether they are learning or not. And if that is no, then everything falls apart. So thank you once again. I really appreciate our panel members, Dr. Abdul, Honnutagi, Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman, Dr. Farooq Shaikh, for the very valuable time that they have given. I'm sure everyone has benefit from it, and we need to continue these discussions going forward to ensure that our students are learning. And because I think, to me, it's a incumbent responsibility for all of us to ensure, because the time and the space that they will be inheriting is going to be rapidly changing. The other day I was in a conference where they're talking about artificial intelligence disrupting the entire working space. So if you don't make them ready for that, they will completely become obsolete, and that will be a big disservice that we will do to them. So we need to train, we need to make themselves ready for that, and for that we will have to become ready for it. So thank you once again. Thank you, everybody. Over to you, Professor Abu Sufyan, for the next proceedings. Thank you.
Yeah, before that, I think from our side as panelists, we must also thank our moderator, such a
Thank you,
nicely,
sir. Thank you,
with such kind of questions and posing the challenges before panelists.
It was my pleasure.
That is really, I think we try to make you remain for quite long time to do this role. Okay, on various topics.
I loved it. Thank you so much for this opportunity, sir, to me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to you, Professor Abu Sufyan. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. So thank you. Thanks to all the panelists. You have truly kept all the participants very active in this entire session. I'm sure this session have opened up a new dimension. It has also provoked the thought of change from traditional model to innovative pedagogies as expected for the Generation Z students. I also thanks to the moderator of the session, Dr. Shariq Syed, for asking very important and most relevant question in line with this topic. Thank you all. Going ahead, now it is time to officially release CiTeL first bulletin. The CiTeL is the Center for Innovative Teaching and Exuberant Learning that has been created with a clear vision of exploring innovative pedagogies and tools in the teaching and learning. As a controller of this center, I am very happy to share you that this center have taken several initiatives in the last 6 months that have benefited not only the teacher of AIKTC and Anjuman Islam, but also the participant across the country. So CiTeL Bulletin is an attempt to share these activities with all their stakeholders. Now I request Director of the campus, Dr. Abdul Razak Honnutagi, to declare the release of CiTeL Bulletin. Actually, our Honorable Chairman, Mr. Burhan Harris, sir, to join for this program, but due to some technical glitch, he could not join. So on his behalf, I request Director to please declare the release of this bulletin.
Yeah, indeed, it's my pleasure that on behalf of our Executive Chairman, Mr. Burhan Harris, I declare the CiTeL Bulletin, Maiden CiTeL Bulletin open.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for declaring the release of bulletin. Now, I, along with my team, will quickly walk you through the CiTeL Bulletin. So we have first the messages from our leaders, our Honorable President, Dr. Zahirai Kazi, General Secretary of Anjuman Islam, Mr. J.R. Sheikh, Chairman, Mr. Burhan Harris, the Director of Campus, Dr. Abdul Razak Honnutagi, and IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Rajendra Magar. I am not reading the messages of each of them, but yes, you can go through when it is released through our campus website. We are fortunate to have an advisory board of CiTeL, both the Dean of School of Pharmacy, Dr. Shariq Syed, and Dean of School of Architecture, Professor Raj Mhatre. We also have eminent person from World Class Educational Institute on our panel, including Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman from King Saud University, Riyadh, Dr. Farooq Shaikh from Monash University, Malaysia, and Dr. Sania Khan from Prince Sattam bin Abdulaziz University, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. You already heard from two of them in today's panel discussion, and very soon Dr. Sania Khan will also guide our faculty members on some other occasion. This is my CiTeL team, which consists of a coordinator from each department and the schools from the campus, and our ideation team, which consists of the head of the department of School of Engineering Technology and Registrar of our campus, Professor Abdul Nehwal. So this CiTeL Bulletin was designed by the CiTeL Bulletin executive team, which was led by Assistant Professor Sara Giniwale and Ubaid Shah. Now I request Ms. Sara Giniwale to take forward the further briefing of the bulletin. Professor Sara, it is over to you.
Thank you so much, Professor Abu Sufyan. I am Sara Giniwale, briefing you about the objectives of CiTeL Bulletin. The CiTeL Bulletin will provide all its stakeholders with a glimpse of activities conducted from time to time. It will also provide a platform to appreciate efforts of various stakeholders who have contributed and took part in the cause of CiTeL. My sincere thanks to the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Director of AIKTC, Honorable Executive Chairman, BINM, and the management of Anjuman Islam for the support and guidance. Now, I request Professor Geeta Desai to take forward the further briefing of the bulletin. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sara. We have conducted 2 days workshop on stepping towards problem and project-based learning. This workshop was conducted to understand the need for use of PBL as an innovative pedagogy in teaching and learning, its relevance to outcome-based education and Bloom's taxonomy, and improved practical approach towards implementation of problems and project-based learning. The resource person at the workshop was Dr. Vikas Shinde, Director, Center of Excellence in Project-Based Learning, Vishwaniketan, Khalapur. 57 faculty members have participated in the workshop and enriched their knowledge and skills in problem and project-based learning. Now, I would like to request Professor Amruta Karve to continue with the next section of the bulletin. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Geeta madam. Now I will brief you about the another event on a virtual workshop on innovative methods of active learning to enhance the students' class engagement and learning outcomes, which is conducted on 19th October 2020 by Dr. Mohammad Farooq Shaikh, Dr. Arshad Salema, Dr. Nafis Ahmed from the Monash University, Malaysia, and Dr. Muhammad Tahir Ansari, Associate Professor, School of Pharmacy, University of Nottingham. Now, this was much needed workshop as we are facing many challenges to conduct the online classes during pandemic. This workshop has given new energy and direction to make use of different online teaching tools and pedagogies to make our students' learning joyful. Also, the different case studies of activity-based learning in pharmacy and engineering and their implementation were shared by the resource person. Thank you. Now, may I please call upon the next team member, Professor Taib Qureshi, for the further briefing. Thank you.
Professor Taib, I hope you are there. You need to unmute yourself. Okay.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you, Amrita ma'am. I would like to share about the befitting and interactive series we did under the Train the Trainer series. On 22nd December 2020, we had a webinar on YouTube Made Easy for Teaching and Learning concerning the demand of the hour, online teaching. Many new teachers and instructors across Anjuman Islam started their YouTube education channel after this event. AIKTC's faculty members, Assistant Professor Feroz Nadav, Assistant Professor Ved Prakash Marlapalle from Civil Engineering, both of them they are from Civil Engineering, and Assistant Professor Sheikh Abu Sufyan, Controller CiTeL, were the resource persons. The second event we did on 16th of January 2021. We conducted a one-day workshop on interactive presentation, video editing, and learning assessment tools towards the implementation of innovative pedagogy in the teaching and learning process. We had a hands-on training program. Again, our internal resource persons from various schools and departments of AIKTC, Assistant Professor Sabah Sheikh from School of Pharmacy, Assistant Professor Siddesh Kolambekar from School of Architecture, and Assistant Professor Wasim Sheikh from Civil Engineering conducted this. Please go through the details on the bulletin itself. Thank you. May I please call upon the next team member, Shahin Atwani, madam, for further details.
Thank you, Professor Ateekh Ur Rehman, sir. I, Shahin Atwani, take the privilege to highlight the NEP 2020 session. To align with the objectives of NEP 2020, the program was organized by CiTeL in collaboration with the School of Pharmacy. A session on NEP 2020, Impact on Higher Education. The session was conducted by Colonel B. Venkat, Director of Faculty Development Cell, AICTE, who gave an overview idea on silent features of NEP 2020. Now I request Professor Fawaz Parker sir for further briefing on CiTeL Bulletin. Over to Fawaz sir.
Thank you, Professor Shaheen. I take this opportunity to appraise the key highlights of the 3-day National Conference on Innovative Teaching and Exuberant Learning, (CiTeL), which was held from 26th to 28th June 2021. It was a jewel in the crown for CiTeL in the true sense, the first ever one of its kind national conference organized by CiTeL. The prime motto of this conference was to provide a platform for teachers of professional and non-professional courses to present innovative pedagogies, tools, and techniques they use in teaching and learning. Dr. Zahir Qazi, President Anjuman Islam, inaugurated the program. 6 keynote sessions in line with the theme of the conference and a panel discussion session with eminent personalities from reputed institutions across India and abroad were held across these 3 days. 19 oral presentations on different themes of innovative teaching and learning practices were presented by creative teachers on the first 2 days of the conference. The first keynote address was based on realigning and redesigning education post-COVID-19 pandemic by Dr. Basavaraj Category, Principal, KLES CET Belgaum, followed by the second keynote on tools and techniques for active learning by Dr. Arshad Salima, Senior Lecturer, Monash University, Malaysia. On the second day, CiTeL was graced by Dr. Sudhakar Umle, Head of Mechanical Department, SPC Mumbai, who delivered the third keynote on role of teacher in research and innovation, followed by the fourth keynote on flipped and blended classroom, the need of the day by Dr. Srinivasa KG, Professor, NITTR, Chandigarh. The final day began with the fifth keynote on developing our own MOOCs by Dr. Shariq Syed, founder and CEO, ULETS Learning Solutions Private Limited, followed by a panel discussion on multimodal learning, advantages and challenges. We were indeed privileged to have on board Dr. Doda Gaudar, Professor IIT Madras, Mr. Sudhanshu Misra, Executive Coach and Motivational Speaker and Influencer, our own Dr. Abdul Honnutagi, and Dr. Asma Sheikh, Principal, Anjuman Islam Zakbarbai Pirbai College of Engineering Education, Navi Mumbai, who harmonized wonderfully well and gracefully put forth their viewpoints on the topic. The final keynote session and valedictory address on technology-enabled teaching for exuberant learning was delivered by Dr. Sunil Kutte, Dean Academics, KK Institute of Engineering Education and Research, Nasik, which was an icing on the cake for this wonderful conference. In addition, CiTeL organized a day's webinar on use of learning management systems for creating engaging learning and teaching environments in association with ULETS Learning Management Solutions, Chennai, on Monday, 31st May 2021. The webinar was presented by Dr. M. Surya Narayana Murthy, Head Institutional Support, ULETS Learning Solutions Private Limited, Chennai. He emphasized on the importance and benefits of a good learning management system, LMS, especially for higher education institutes. Now over to Professor Irfan Jamkhandikar to throw some light on our e-learning repository. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Fawaz Parker, sir. Now, I am here to tell you about the e-learning hub. So CiTeL has initiated an e-learning hub through campus website and encouraged all the faculty members to contribute to it. The CiTeL e-learning hub has provided a single portal for e-learning content created by AIKTC faculty members for the self-paced learning. This content is made available to all the students. As on date, faculty members have contributed 1255, that is 1255 videos to this CiTeL e-learning repository. And our top 5 contributors for this e-learning repository are Professor Mukhtar Ansari from Computer Department. He has contributed 153 videos. Then second one, Professor Nawaz Motiwala from Mechanical Department. He has contributed 126 videos. Then third, Professor Abu Sufyan Sheikh from Pharmacy. He has contributed 112 videos. Next, Professor Arshad Qureshi from Mechanical Department. He has contributed 76 videos. And Professor Ved Prakash Varlapalle from Civil Department. He has contributed 61 videos. Thank you. Now, over to you, Professor Abu Sufyan, sir.
Thank you, Professor Irfan, and thanks to my entire team CiTeL for their immense contribution in the last 6 months. But this is not the end of the story. Going forward, we are planning for a few new initiatives. This includes we are planning to encourage and create our own MOOCs platform, conduct nano workshop at school department level that will bring in experts of the respective pedagogical fields to address the issue faced by faculties at grassroots level. Initiate a journal on innovative teachings and exuberant learning to provide a platform for publishing case studies, best practices on implementation of innovative pedagogies and technologies in teaching and learning. Initiate e-learning repository of self-paced blended content along with YouTube e-learning repository. Encourage think, pair, share culture at campus through Train the Trainer series and provide an e-learning content creation facility for our teaching fraternity. With this, we have done with the formal release of the CiTeL Bulletin. We have released feedback form in Zoom with link to download a certificate. You all are requested to give your valuable feedback and also get your certificate. Now I request Professor Zakir Ansari, Head of Mechanical Engineering and a member of our CiTeL ideation team, to give concluding remark and vote of thanks for the session. Sir, it is over to you.
Thank you, Professor Abu Sufyan. Am I audible?
Yes, you are absolutely audible.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum and very good evening to one and all. Indeed, this was a very great event of panel discussion between the panel members. So we have came to know about the insights of the strategies that we should adopt for our Gen Z learners. And it's really a combination of our challenges and opportunities as well. The challenges that we are facing is about the well-being of the students at the same time of focusing on the learning of the students. So this was really an eye-opener wherein we came to know about all these things, and we have to be prepared, and we are going to face these kind of things. So we have to be very much prepared. And indeed, a historic event at AIKTC by the release of this bulletin. So I really appreciate the efforts taken by the CiTeL Center, and due to this center only this release of bulletin was possible, and we have seen glimpse of what activities were carried out under the banner of this center CiTeL. With this, respected Director AIKTC, Dr. Abdul Razak, Honnutagi, all the deans and heads of departments present over here, our most valued invited guests, Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman and Dr. Farooq Shaikh, it's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on the occasion of panel discussion on learning strategies for Gen Z learners, opportunities and challenges. I, on behalf of Anjuman Islam's Kalsekar Technical Campus and the entire CiTeL Center, and on my own behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all the panel members for gracing your important work and sharing with us your findings and opinions today. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to Dr. Ateekh Ur Rehman for his views on the learning strategies for Gen Z. Further, we are grateful to Dr. Farooq Shaikh for demonstrating ideas on the opportunities and challenges we would face for Gen Z learners. I also wish to express my gratitude to Dr. Abdul Razak Honnutagi for his active involvement in the panel discussion and expressing his thoughts about the post-pandemic learning strategies for students. I may like to express my sincere thanks to Dr. Shariq Syed for moderating the event very precisely, giving adequate opportunity to all the panel members to express their ideas on the topic. I also extend my thanks to Professor Abu Sufyan, Controller, CiTeL, and also to the entire team of CiTeL for releasing the first CiTeL Bulletin. It's a historic event for AIKTC. Lastly, I'm thankful to all the participants who were actively present and listening to the panel discussion, and of course, noting what we are supposed to be doing for the Generation Z learners in future. Once again, I want to state that we are all most grateful to all our speakers. We thank you for being with us this evening. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Zakir, for giving wonderful vote of thanks. I, Sheikh Abu Sufyan, take your leave on behalf of our team CiTeL. Thank you everyone for attending this session and also for your patient listening.
Thank you.
We hope to see you in our next.
We must collectively thank Professor Abu Sufyan, who has set up a benchmark for this center. CiTeL, he is heading, and he has given an example for remaining 30+ centers to work upon. So I, on my personal behalf, from the management side, thank you, Professor Abu Sufyan, and for making such programs possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Abu Sufyan.
Thank you, sir. Indeed, it was the teamwork. Credit goes to my entire team, and also the team IQAC, the director, sir, and our management for empowering us and supporting us to do all these good things. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Congratulations to your entire team. Thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Jazakallah.
Thank you, Dr. Ateekh. Thank you, Dr. Farooq. It's really nice. World is very small. We can always remain connected this way.
Good.
So be ready for next turn for a different topic. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
So I'm keeping this meeting open now. Moment. Yes, sir. You can, sir. Please.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I'm keeping it open for a few minutes only. You can fill your feedback form and submit it. लॉक करने का है हाँ मैं अभी क्लोज कर रहा हूँ मीटिंग 5 मिनट
सर वो YouTube लाइन का बंद कर दो